Martin Luther King Jr. Day by Trudi Trueit, illustrated by Joel Snyder. Chapter 1: An American Hero. Americans of many different races join hands. Together they march down the street and sing, "Come join the parade, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day." Martin Luther King Jr. was an important African American leader. He worked to make sure all U.S. citizens were treated equally. On the third Monday in January, Americans honored Martin Luther King Jr. They remember a man whose courage helped change a nation. Chapter 2: Birth of a Leader. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929. His family called him ML for short. ML lived in Atlanta, Georgia with his parents, grandparents, aunt, and older sister Christine. In 1930, ML's brother Alfred was born. Children of different races lived in ML's neighborhood. They all played together. One day, ML and Alfred went to visit two white brothers as they had always done, but the boys said their parents wouldn't allow them to play with black children anymore. ML ran to his mother. She said that some people didn't realize that beneath the skin, everyone was the same. It was painful for ML to lose his friends this way. He never forgot. Chapter 3: Different Races, Different Rules. When ML was growing up, black and white Americans were not treated equally. In some cities, it was against the law for blacks to go to the same places as whites. They could not attend the same schools or eat in the same restaurants. Elevators and drinking fountains had signs that read, "Whites only." This was called segregation. Such treatment made ML angry at whites. ML's father was a minister. He told his son that hatred wasn't the answer. Reverend King taught ML that he could love others and still stand up for what he believed. Chapter 4: I Have a Dream. After college, ML moved to Alabama and became a minister like his father. He married Coretta Scott. They had 4 children. Dr. King, as he was now called, began speaking out against segregation. He led peaceful marches for civil rights or equality. He gave speeches, too. Dr. King's most famous speech was called "I Have a Dream." I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, he said. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Chapter 5: Taking Action. Dr. King's leadership made a difference. In 1964, U.S. President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act. It made segregation against the law. Even so, some people didn't want things to change. On April 4, 1968, Dr. King was shot and killed. He was buried in Atlanta, Georgia, next to his grandmother. In 1983, the U.S. Congress created a national holiday to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They chose the 3rd Monday in January so the date would fall on or near Dr. King's birthday. Chapter 6: Celebrating Civil Rights. Church bells ring, choirs sing angelic hymns. Across the nation, people gather on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. They may watch a film of one of Dr. King's speeches. Older citizens often share what it was like to live during segregation. Some Americans take part in peaceful marches. Others volunteer in their communities. They may pick up litter, paint over graffiti, or plant trees in a park. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a time to remember the struggle for civil rights. It is a time to remember that every American citizen is equal and free. Chapter 7: Poetry Corner. When we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Martin Luther King Jr., I Have a Dream, August 28, 1963. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not the absence of fear. Mark Twain, 1835 to 1910. We wear the mask. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile. With torn and bleeding hearts we smile, and mouth with myriad subletities. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. Paul Laurence Dunbar, 1872 to 1906. We who believe in freedom cannot rest. Ella Baker, 1903 to 1986.